December 26, 1996. In a quiet Boulder, Colorado neighborhood, a 6-year-old girl who had won child beauty pageants was reported missing. Her name was JonBenét Patricia Ramsey. Hours later, her body was found in the family's basement. The discovery would ignite a media storm, a flood of theories, and decades of unanswered questions. Tonight we retrace the night, the evidence, and the investigation to ask once again, who killed JonBenét Ramsey? JonBenét was 6 years old, a child beauty pageant contestant who charmed local audiences. Her parents, John and Patsy Ramsey, had moved to Boulder for John's job in the tech industry. By all accounts, JonBenét's childhood combined small-town comforts and a competitive pageant circuit. Few could have imagined the catastrophe that would unfold on Christmas night of 1996. On the morning of December 26th, Patsy Ramsey called 911 to report her daughter missing. 911. That call set in motion a chaotic chain of events. Early in the investigation, police discovered a ransom note in the Ramsey home. A long, peculiar letter demanding $118,000 for JonBenét's return. The note's tone, phrasing, and the odd specificity of the amount drew immediate scrutiny. Investigators treated the case as both a potential kidnapping and a potential homicide. Hours after the report, JonBenét's body was found in a small room of the family's basement. She had suffered a skull fracture and had been strangled. The official autopsy ruled the death a homicide. 3 pieces of evidence shaped the early narrative: the ransom note, the makeshift garrote of nylon cord and a paintbrush handle, and the severe head trauma JonBenét suffered. The ransom note was unusually long, over 2 pages, and idiosyncratic in tone. The garrote and paintbrush fragments were found in the home. The head wound suggested a violent blow prior to the strangulation. Investigators also later reported evidence of sexual assault, though forensic conclusions were complicated by contamination and early handling of the scene. From the start, the case was troubled by investigative missteps. The crime scene was not fully secured. Police allowed people, including family, friends, and media, access in the early hours. Evidence was moved. Key areas were not photographed before being touched. These early errors created a legacy of doubt that critics argue hampered the possibility of a clean forensic case. With the public spotlight rapidly intensifying, police faced 2 major choices: focus on the theory of an intruder or examine the family closely. Initially, suspicion centered on the Ramseys. Later, the focus shifted as conflicting theories vied for attention. The JonBenét case quickly became not just a police investigation, but a media phenomenon. News networks camped outside the Ramsey home. Tabloids and talk shows debated motives and personalities. The family's wealth, Patsy's role in pageants, and the bizarre ransom note became fodder for speculation. Some commentators argued the Ramseys were being unfairly judged. Others pointed to apparent inconsistencies in their statements. The media attention complicated police work and shaped public perception in ways investigators later described as toxic to the case. 2 major theories dominated: a family member theory and an intruder theory. Many experts note that statistically, children murdered in homes are often killed by someone they know. The family member theory focused on motive and opportunity. The Ramseys were in the house the night in question. The intruder theory argued that an unknown person entered the home, wrote the ransom note, and abducted and killed JonBenét. Over the years, investigators and independent detectives proposed a broad roster of persons of interest, from acquaintances and local men to a serial offender theory. No suspect has ever been charged and convicted. The case remains unsolved. The case was complicated further by high-profile twists. In 2006, a man named John Mark Carr confessed to the killing while in Thailand. He was later cleared by DNA testing when his DNA did not match samples from the scene. In 2008, the Boulder District Attorney's Office sent a letter to John Ramsey stating that new DNA testing did not match any Ramsey family member and that the family was completely cleared of suspicion. That announcement shifted public conversation but later drew scrutiny. Some investigators questioned whether the DNA really proved the killer's identity or merely excluded family members. The scientific and legal interpretations of touch DNA remain debated in this case. The case has been reopened and re-examined multiple times. In 2010, Boulder police formally reopened the investigation. In the 2010s and 2020s, advances in DNA technology and renewed media attention, including recent documentary series, brought fresh scrutiny and new leads. Yet despite thousands of tips and retests of evidence, no definitive arrest has been made. JonBenét's father, John Ramsey, and others continue to seek answers. Investigators say the unknown male DNA found on JonBenét's clothing remains a key lead. Others continue to critique the early mishandling of the scene. The result is a stubborn, unresolved tragedy that raises questions about forensic limits, media influence, and how justice is pursued when evidence is imperfect. More than 2 decades after JonBenét's death, the case remains a painful tangle of facts, errors, and theories. For families, for investigators, and for the public, the unanswered question endures. If you're interested in digging deeper, explore the official Boulder police records, court and forensic reports, and reputable investigative journalism. And if you have information you believe is new or relevant, contact the Boulder Police Major Crimes Unit. For now, we remember JonBenet as a child whose life was taken too soon, and we hold out hope that someday answers will come.